with more talk about resistance and complaints about Call of Duty. Stay tuned for these messages.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Tirranova Council 1452 of the Knights of Columbus holds bingo every Sunday and Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. sharp on St. Clair Avenue. Help support the Knights of Columbus, who help support our community.
Oh, you're listening to 93.5 CHMR FM. Mon radio, in stereo, baby! I'm in the frenzy.
And we are back, 93.5 CHMR FM. This is the Aperture, a weekly hour-long discussion of all topics geek culture. I am one of your hosts, Rory DC.
And I'm your other host, Adam Lepore Knight. We need to find a name for that guy. Like the guy who goes, "Rock! You're listening to Neither for
It says Screaming Jay on my console here.
His name is now Screaming Jay
on my fancy producer computer.
You know, he better get some sort of award for that. Like that has to be worth an award. That's awesome.
They need a separate category in the award shows for that.
Yeah, Screaming Jay's Award of Awesomeness.
I swear they have everything in the Oscars. They could include that. Like,
did I ever tell you about one of my favorite Futurama jokes ever? It's a little bit off topic again. We tend to do that here at the Aperture, if you haven't guessed. So one of my favorite Futurama jokes is they're at the Oscars and they're waiting backstage and they're waiting for the Best Actor nomination or Best Director Best Actor nominations to come up, and Bender and Zoidberg comes up to Bender. Is like, what are they on? It's like, well, they've just gotten to minor technical awards. I think they're up to writing. And I'm like, it's funny because they're making fun of the fact that Hollywood doesn't seem to have any writers anymore. Political commentary, yeah. Anyway, Insomniac Games made Resistance, fabulous company.
Yes.
They've also done Spyro, and I know some of you out there have played Spyro. That's a kick-ass game.
I agree.
I mean,
all of them.
I've played bum game because I'm not allowed to say ass on the radio.
Yes, you are.
Oh, ass.
Glad we included that. Yeah.
So there you go. That's your ass quotient for I feel like Bender.
I think you should be allowed to say that. There's no...
Good Lord, I hope so, because if not, we're getting kicked off the air. Join us for the Aperture's final show.
I feel like I'm almost like not doing my job as a producer. I feel like those are the rules that I should know. Those are exactly what I should be studying. But Insomniac Games.
Spyro and Ratchet & Clank, two kick-ass game series.
Yeah, absolutely. I love those games. I mean, Insomniac is just really, really smart. And they take their time and they make it creative and they make it look nice and... one of those companies that's not, say, a company like this hypothetical company I'm, just inventing for the sake of comparison, Infinity Ward.
A company of such fabled yore has never before been imagined.
They may or may not exist in real life, but
we're about to enter a realm where Infinity Ward may or may not exist. This is the Twilight Zone.
So like they don't churn out the games every single year one after another. They really take their time, and I like that. And I thought that Resistance was obviously
proper development cycles.
And Resistance was a huge stylistic departure from their usual,
colorful,
brightly
happy,
colored, cheerful. Spyro, one of the only games to make a dragon look really happy.
Yeah,
which is the impressive feat.
The only other media I can think of is How to Train Your Dragon. That managed to do it pretty well.
There we go. Yeah.
So. What is Resistance about for those ladies and gentlemen listeners that have not experienced the awesomeness that is this series?
Resistance, you take an adventure to, the Resistance 1 starts out, you're taking an adventure with Nathan Hale over to England.
A.K.A. the most manly man of all men.
Exactly.
He's like Quincy Morris. He's
he's all man. And so essentially what's happened in Europe is starting in Russia, for some reason, this virus, the Chimeran virus, is just spread throughout the entirety of Russia, turning ordinary people, you, me, the guy at the convenience store, into Chimera.
No, not the convenience store guy.
Which are like these fierce, somewhat taller than human creatures with large backpacks, and they like to go around killing humans.
Yeah.
Or converting humans, and
they're like a more badass type of zombie.
Exactly, and it's spreading vastly, this virus and the Chimeran army.
And there's no cure, right?
There's no cure to their knowledge, and
so we set up a huge wall between Russia and the rest of the world, because who really cares about Russia, and the hundreds of millions of people who were dying in there. And then the virus broke through. I believe they tunneled under, didn't they? Somehow they managed to mold.
It's very confusing.
Yeah, but anyway, they spread throughout all of Europe, and so at the start of the game, your American forces invading Britain to try and fight off the Khmeran forces in Britain. Is that it?
Yeah, exactly, because they've
the 1945 Osprey helicopter corps. That was a thing.
It's a very alternative sort of history.
World War II did not happen.
World War II did not happen, and it's very intriguing. At the beginning, you really don't know anything other than army, aliens, Braunstein. That's the only thing I remember that first character saying.
I remember joining the game and I'm like, you really don't know a lot what's going on. And I kind of like that because the cutscenes, unlike in say Halo, where they're fully motion cutscenes, all the cutscenes in Resistance are, it's like diary briefings. It's just you get really nice sketchy drawings like someone would do in their personal journal, and then you get a voiceover, and it's and while it wouldn't work in every game, I really, really dug it in this game because it was it made me feel like I'm just a grunt, I'm fighting this force, and I have no idea what I'm fighting. For some reason, these creatures are coming at me, and they have more advanced technology than we have, and they're tearing our guys apart, and we have no idea what we're really fighting. And so, unlike the other games where the mystery's kind of explored and there's not so much a mystery anymore, I really dug Resistance 1 for that kind of creepy, unknowing atmosphere. It's kind of like Half-Life.
Yeah,
I wouldn't call Resistance as good as Half-Life because what could? But it's kind of you don't. At the beginning of Half-Life, you really have no idea what's going on.
Exactly. Yeah, it's mystery. It's very smart plot design. I've always appreciated that, and
cool creature design too. I love the enemy design. They're really cool because the Chimera themselves look really, really monstrous and grotesque, but their technology is very sleek.
And they set up a story which could be made better. You know what I mean? I think they intentionally set up a story at such a scale that it could be improved. But before we move on to sort of 2 and the story of that, which is a whole complicated thing, I sort of want to talk a bit about the online of Resistance 1.
Sure, that's more your area of the court.
The Resistance 1 was the first game I ever played online on the PlayStation 3.
Is it your first online game ever?
No. I was a Counter-Strike guy back on the PC
right.
when I was a kid, but
and God help you. They can shoot through walls and fly and they're basically people who are still playing Counter-Strike today are the equivalent of Superman and Jesus.
Oh, they're monsters. You can't touch them.
No, because they've been playing the same game for 10 years and they're just so it's unbelievably good. But anyway,
they're so proficient at it. Yeah. And Resistance 1 impressed me so much because the community was really good. That's first off, I had a headset and I loved talking to the people on there. They were so nice.
Yeah.
People don't believe it now when I tell them there was a time when in online games little kids weren't yelling at you, and it was playing. It was so good, and I can't emphasize that enough. 40 players online with no lag.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No lag.
That was really. I remember playing it. I was really impressed by that.
Yeah, revolutionary.
Getting back to the little kids thing, I've noticed now that back in the day, it used to be a lot of kids on Halo. There's you killed me. You suck. You camp and you don't know how to play. My dad's really in the army and just really whining stuff.
Yeah,
but now
exactly.
I find that they're all migrated over to Call of Duty.
They have.
That's what they play. Halo used to be the little congregated zone for all this because now they're at Call of Duty. So I'm happy for that because I want Halo to remain pure. But anyway, Resistance never had that. I found I didn't play it as much obviously as much as Rory because you were really good. You were in the top 500, was it?
Oh, I was really trying to be. I never got there, but I was working really hard to be. I played a lot with those guys, and it's a cool game. It was a cool community. You could play with the number one guy in the world.
Yeah,
he was oh yeah, come on, we'll play a game.
And you would. You
beat
into
me
the ground into a it would be a worse beating than you fighting Uriah Hall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, thankfully, in Resistance, beatings don't result in ambulance. But
I think at that point it would be a hearse that would be taking you.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just cool, and technically, no one beat Insomniac in that regard. Like I say, it's shocking.
For console games, you mean?
Well, yeah, for console games, yeah, no one beats them technically, and also like Battlefield is also really good technically. Battlefield Bad Company 2,
yeah,
also like very few connection problems. It amazes me that Call of Duty, one of the largest money making franchise in games right now,
probably ever.
Probably ever, actually, yeah.
Didn't they make a lot more? Not ever, but like currently right now, they make more money than most movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can afford to make lag-free games.
Yeah, you can afford dedicated servers over it.
But that's Activision's thing. They just they don't care really about the quality. Just they latch onto a product and